No, the ones with the illness, I think they're gonna be okay. Hopefully, they will train today, and if everybody's fine, they should be available.
That's about Raheem Sterling as well. Is he like, what's the update on him?
Yeah, I think he's starting to do some stuff on the pitch, so that's great news. So yeah, as quick as possible, we want him available. Let's see how he progresses next week, and then see if we get him available for the following week.
Just finally a couple as well. Ben White and Tommy Asu, how are they getting on?
Ben is still a few weeks away, and Tommy again has done some stuff on the pitch, but now it's to see. Obviously, it's been a long-term injury, and we need to see how quickly he can progress and how Danny reacts. But hopefully, good.
Declan Rice, he was on the bench for the Brentford game. He's got 8 games coming up for the rest of January. Is that something you're going to have to continue doing, which is manage the minutes of all your players?
Yeah, on his case, especially, he plays so much football. We had 9 games in this period, in this month, and he had some niggles in the last few games. He had to come off, and yeah, we have to manage every player, and he's not an exception for sure.
I think after the game against Brentford, you said you're really happy with the players that you have here. But if you were to say, is it more likely that you'll sign someone in January, or more likely that you won't sign someone in January?
I don't know. Again, because the focus is with the players that we have. It's something extraordinary in the market that we can afford, and we believe that it's going to have a real impact in the team. We have to be open for that possibility always, because that's why we have the ability to change the squad, to improve the squad in the windows. But at the moment, the focus is what we have.
In terms of what you do you see anyone maybe leaving this January? Someone like Kieran perhaps? What do you think is going to happen with him?
Again, all the players that they are there, he just want to focus on performing and impacting the team. And if something happens there, we will assess it.
Just finally, Ethan Waneri, it was a really impressive
Yeah.
performance from him against Brentford. Is he the most natural replacement, you think, for Bukayo Saka while he's out?
I mean, he's a player can play in various positions. It's not a position that he's played a lot, to be fair, even when he was in the academy level. But yeah, he can adapt basically for the demands that we have in 2-3 positions, and I think he did really well there.
Go to Niv from the Premier League.
Hi, Mikel.
Hello.
Good seeing you. Can I please ask you about Mikel Merino? The start of his journey at Arsenal wasn't easy. He picked up an injury immediately, but
No.
since then he settled really well. Gives you a really strong balance in midfield as well. How would you reflect the way he settled here and the value he gives you in midfield?
Yeah, well, we expected a very fast integration because he's playing the league, because he's such an intelligent and experienced player, and I think he fits very well our model. The thing is that, as you said, he had an injury. They had another little niggle, and he had no preseason because he played for Spain as well, and it took him just a while to start to get set. But now you can see straight away the impact that he has in the team, his intelligence, the goal threat that he offers to the team, and then more and more will come because he's a natural leader as well. And the moment that he grows in the role, I think we'll see much more from him.
Can I please ask you about Daniel Jesus? Another goal on Wednesday night. I was wondering if things were not going well for him. He dealt with injuries, for example. How much belief he had to show in himself, and how much belief he had to show in him as well?
Yeah, it's about supporting our players, and the players know that they have to go through sometimes periods that is not exactly how they planned it, because injuries are part of that, but as well they have to believe in themselves, and we have to make sure that if one day they doubt, we are there to recognize and make sure that they feel from our side how much we like them and how happy we are to have them.
Brighton this weekend, they haven't won the Premier League in the last 7 games. They managed to really challenge you when you played them early this season. What do you expect from them tomorrow evening?
Yes, a really tough opponent. When you see as well the record they've got at home, their way of playing, the capacity they have to adapt to different scenarios, different shapes, really impressive. I think he's done something slightly different to before. I really like them. To be fair, really impressed with what they've done.
George on the BBC.
Mikel, I just wondered, on Ethan and Miles, you've given them their Premier League debuts. Is that something you wanted to change at Arsenal, just giving more youth players as a target yourself this season, or has it just happened because of injuries? Or was that something you wanted to do as manager, is try and bring more players through from the academy?
The first thing that we want is look in the academy. Can we get what we want in the academy? That's option number one. If we don't have it there, then we have to look elsewhere, or we have to develop our players to different positions. And and make them more versatile, we have to go in the market and recruit. And I think those two players, I think they are playing because they deserve, not because of injuries, because we had other options to play other players, and they are playing because they deserve to play.
For you then, Fabian, do you set goals for the start of the year? Are you that kind of person?
No. So I think in general in life it's important to have goals, but especially in football the season starts always in summer. So in summer I think it's time to set individual goals, team goals, and therefore I'm not the biggest fan of doing this in the winter break.
Well, with new year, we've got a bit of a fresh start because you've got Daniel Niskowski has come in as a coach, and so you've got a new player through the door already as well in Diego Gomez. He's now officially a Brighton player. Is he someone that comes straight in to selection, or does he need some time?
Of course, he had now 2 or 3 weeks of holiday because in the MLS the season is finished, so he needs for sure a little bit time. But I'm sure he's in a great shape. He trained hard during his holiday, what I heard, and that's why I'm really looking forward to see him as quick as possible on the pitch.
And is Saturday too early for that?
That's too early, yes.
That is too early, okay. Any new injury issues or anyone back this weekend? Adam will be back. Hopefully Jack is close. And I think the rest will stay the same. Okay. Is Ferdy any closer to coming back?
Unfortunately, not.
Okay. Would it be a while?
I think so.
Yeah, like you said, something is missing, a major trophy for Arsenal. He won the FA Cup, but 5 years in charge. On Boxing Day, he celebrated 5 years since his first game. Mikel Arteta wants to win something.
Yeah, and you're probably thinking, if you finish above City, you usually win it. And then Liverpool just come along and go, nah. Well, at the moment anyway, we're not having it there. But it is a title race. They're still very much in it. I did the Brentford game, and I thought without Kai Havertz, without Declan Rice, without Saka, brilliant, mature, professional performance, solid, really impressed. Obviously, this went behind with this Mbeumo goal, which was a great little finish from him. But then after that, really controlled, and it's not an easy place to go to, Brentford. It's a bit of a fortress there, and like I said, a very, very mature performance from them.
And this is the thing, I mean, for Arsenal fans, and for any neutrals who want a properly full-on title race, which I suppose is most of us, unless they have any issues with the clubs involved. But I think it's a great pity about Saka's injury, because it does just feel, after a first 4 months of the season where Arsenal to kind of... And I know there was a big talk about how much was made of the injuries, but it did feel for about 4 months, almost every single week, Arsenal had a new issue to deal with, be it a kind of a red card, being a new injury, or a player missing, or the way games went, and some of their own making, of course. But it feels like they've come through that, and they're properly on, say, last season's form now, where they went on that run. But of course, to perpetuate that, you do need your best players on, and Saka there. So I think they're suddenly in a really good place at the moment, as illustrated by that win against Brentford. But now just missing someone who's arguably their best player, and it does feel maybe that could cost them if they go on one of these runs. But as regards the weekend, I mean, I think this is a fixture similar to Brentford in the way it's an upwardly mobile team, a difficult place to go to, if not quite the record of Brentford's. It's a tough game. But with the way they came through that match during the week, I do think Arsenal will find a way again. They'll be cannier than Brighton, I think.
They drew last time out, and of course that was the Rice red card.
Yeah.
Arsenal, as you mentioned, had a couple of red cards at the start of the season that really, really played so much of this game with 10 men and drew 1-1.
Was that this season?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it feels like forever ago.
Is that some nice weather?
31st of August,
wow.
And it was the time wasting.
He kicked it away slightly, didn't he?
Kicking the ball away.
The thing about that game as well, I think it was the first sign of something a little bit different with Arsenal, because as you mentioned about, you would think if you finish ahead of City, you win the league. And there was a sense in the last season, the build-up to this season, that Arteta became obsessed with the final details to make up the gap to City, which is why I think they went to a bit more of a pragmatic approach. But in doing that, maybe you lose what makes you great, which is like an opposition managers talk about when Arsenal are on song. They're almost unplayable because there's attacks coming at you from everywhere. And this game was almost a clear example of that, where then tried to lock up the game. but once they lost Rice, they weren't able to shift, and it was almost needless 2 points dropped, and that's been a bit of a they weren't able to shift, and it was almost needless 2 points dropped, and that's been a bit of a recurring theme this season.
Cas, big question then, the window is open. They don't have Bukayo Saka. Gabriel Jesus is back on scoring form, but do they still need a striker? If you were Mikel Arteta, he's talked about something missing. What's missing in his squad?
To be fair, I think they needed a left winger. I didn't think they needed a striker. And even more so now Bukayo Saka's out. I think Nwaneri was brilliant the other day, young lad, but he's only young. You can't put that much pressure on him. I think he's 18, so he's quite young. But I always felt Kai Havertz could do a job as that 9, and I always thought I like Martinelli, but I think they needed another kind of. If you think about Liverpool, they had when they won it, they had Salah and Mane, and you think now they just had 2. And I think they just needed another winger, and I don't think it is the number 9 for me.
Yeah, 2 of Arsenal's Brazilians there playing a big part. It was a vital win in terms of keeping Arsenal in the title race conversation. And if you consider that Martinelli's got 3 goals in his last 4 away games and Jesus 6 in his last 4, people will be asking, do they need a striker now, Ian?
No, but I said at the start of the season, those 2 players I'm really, really delighted to see are finding some form at a time where Arsenal need it the most. Are scoring goals now and are playing well and are contributing, because last season I think between them they got 10 Premier League goals, and I think if they got 10 each, Arsenal maybe could have gone on to win the league. And I think that they've realised this season how important their contribution is going to be, and you just hope it can continue for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, if ever there is a time for consistency from both of them, this has to be it, right?
Yeah, I mean, Jules asked a question there, has everybody got to chip in without Saka being in? Of course they have. I mean, they don't score enough goals as it is, really. Or they've not got enough players that score big amounts of goals. They tend to spread them around a little bit, and they're going to have to up their game from now on. And that started tonight. And it started, actually, for the last couple of weeks. Jesus has been banging them in lately, so that's good. And he'll argue, well, I can always score, it's just I've not been given a chance.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't blame him for thinking along those lines. But good for them today. Go away from home, score 3 goals, and keep the pressure on.
So what changed in the second half to make that win possible, Ian?
Well, I think you say what changed. I think that what I always find with Arsenal is, yes, they had a lot of possession in the first half, but when it's going at a certain pace and you're passing at a certain kind of tempo, teams like Brentford, who are deep, they get set. We couldn't get anything in from the wings. We wasn't getting too much from the wings. They cut it off, and I thought we just passed it a lot quicker. The second half, moved it quicker, moved the ball sharper.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever we watch Arsenal, actually on the show, we often talk about they're at their best when it's one-touch passing. Obviously, when they're catching the opposition out of position, is it easier said than done? Because surely the players are aware. They increase the tempo. They look more dangerous as a result.
Of course it is, but every team is doing things at speed in any walk of life is much more dangerous, much more happens when you do things fast. You take more risk, you could give the ball away a lot more.
Yeah.
So certain teams like to play in more of a controlled way and not risk the ball too much and play a little bit slower. But we all know if you up the tempo, you've got more chance of scoring goals. And of course, every team, when they do that, they look a little bit more dangerous. Arsenal today, even though they went 1-0 down, they still had control of the game. They still had a lot of possession in that first half. And obviously getting back on level terms before half-time was absolutely key. You don't want to be going in at the interval down. And then once they had that momentum again, then you always fancied them to come out and nick it in the second half.
I think what happens as well, I think with Brentford's goal is typical as when you're not moving. When you're not making good movement for a person on the ball. And when I say passing it quicker, a lot of things have to happen in respect to parking it quicker. You have to have people making movement. You have to have movement either towards you, beyond you, so that you can pass it quick and then you can keep the ball moving. And I think that it didn't happen a lot in the first half. And in the second half, they just quickened it up a bit.
The second half started in that way from Brentford perspective, conceding 2 goals in 3 minutes so early on. How much did that put the kind of the wind out of their sails, so to speak?
Well, it's a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, when Arsenal go 2 ahead, you're probably not going to get back into it, are you? And they're such a good side. So, yeah, all that team talk that we had a little bit of footage of at half-time and the rousing team talk that Thomas Frank gives his team, but all of a sudden, within 3 or 4 minutes, it's all out the window and, you're chasing a game and then you're probably making even more mistakes. So, yeah, that can happen in football, especially against a team as good as Arsenal.
I think, as well, Mick, I think what Mikel would have probably have said to the Arsenal side was, go out, start quicker, move quicker, see if we could get something in the first 5-10 minutes of the second half, because we know what they're capable of. We saw it in the first half. They're not in the game for 30 minutes, then bam, they score. Have a go at them and see if we can get something in that time, and then we can relax. And they did. They got it in the space of 5 minutes. They got 2 more goals and finished the game.
Right, chasing down Liverpool. And you were, keen to stress to me while we were watching the game unfold, Ian, that, you've been in the title race the last couple of seasons when Man City have been involved, right up until the last couple of weeks. You don't want to be falling out in January, because that becomes pretty dispiriting, right?
It does, yeah. Especially with the fan base knowing that at the start of the season, for some reason, everybody's just saying it was going to be Arsenal that would be chasing down Manchester City. Obviously, no one knew what was going to come with Man City. No one saw that coming. But then Liverpool have taken up the reins, and they do look quite imperious at the minute. So, this team's experienced enough over the last 2 years, knowing what's needed. And I think that going into this game against the Brentford side, missing those players, Havertz and Rice and Saka, and going a goal down and still coming out on top, says that mentally they're a lot stronger and more up for the fight in respect of knowing what they have to do. Because I think 3 points today with Liverpool doing what they've done against West Ham and doing it so comfortably.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, right?
Doing it so comfortably.
Yeah, there was an element of comfort in the victory in the end, not like the Ipswich game, where it was a functional, resolute performance, but not the most convincing.
No, but this team as Wright says, they've been the distance. OK, they've been 1 point short or been really close in previous years, but they've been the distance. They've done it before. They've gained that experience, and if they haven't, then obviously it's been pointless. But you rarely get a team that just comes from nowhere and goes and wins it. I mean, even the Liverpool team, they've been there, seen it, done it. They've won everything there is to win, really. So Arsenal have served their time now. They know what a running is all about. I don't see them dropping away like Chelsea have just drawn and lost, and I don't see them doing that. I think they're pretty experienced, pretty consistent now. They went through all of January, all of December unbeaten. We're now in January. They won the first game. I think they're going to put the pressure on. Whether Liverpool just keep going and going and going remains to be seen, but I don't think Arsenal are going to drop away.
And considering the stakes are so high, it makes that decision by Mikel Arteta to play a 17-year-old to fill the boots, and they're quite considerable boots, of Bukayo Saka. How did Nwaneri do for you?
No, he done very well today for me, and I think, there's a lot of talk when he made his debut, when he came on, when he was 15, and saying, why is he doing that to him? It's too much for him too early. But they've seen the promise and the capability of this young guy from many years now in Ireland. You can see how quick he is with the ball when he's dribbling with it. His passing, his movement. He's got everything that you need, especially coming into a side where, Bukayo Saka, again, you see the pace. He just couldn't quite get dig that one out. And this is for the goal. He's cut back inside. It's a nice ball into the area. I thought that they weren't giving him enough. This is brilliant skill here. I didn't think they were giving him enough ball in the first half, because he's somebody with that exuberance of youth. He just wants to play, like you mentioned, Mike. He's not bothered about what's going on. He just wants to do his thing and play. And that's what he done today. You saw him do it, and I thought that he was very effective today.
I loved his first touch. Everything. As soon as he got the first touch, he was looking to commit. He was looking to go forward. He's looking to be positive. And his natural step over the weight and his balance and his speed. He looks really talented. He looks like he's honed his skills over the years, and he just looks like, he's
ready to go.
He's ready to go.
Yeah, he looks ready to go, and that's interesting because, as a 17-year-old, he's had now that first taste of a Premier League start, played 77 minutes, and he'll be wanting to more of the same, so he's got to remain patient right now.
Well, absolutely.
What's that like?
But from now on, it's a mental thing. As I say, he looks like he's got the game. He's got a beautiful touch. He's got lovely speed. Everything looks very nice and natural to him. His balance and his height and everything. He just looks like a player. Now it's all mental. You're going to have bumps. You're going to be, dropped or rested or whatever. And that's the bit that you've got to sort of fight the way through and remain positive, and then you'll get your success, and you've got to keep your feet on the ground, and then you'll have another dip, and you've got to not get too low and keep your confidence. And the life of a professional footballer is so difficult. There's so many ups and downs, and from now on, I'd say it's much more mental than physical, because he looks like he's got so much ability.
But I think we've done enough talking now. We've got to do predictions, which is my favourite part of the show. Miguel, you're first, so we're going to start with you.
Okay.
And first game up on Saturday is your prediction. You give us a score and a reason. Tottenham, Newcastle.
I'm going to go Tottenham 1, Newcastle 4. I think it'll be similar to the game they played earlier in the season. I think Tottenham will go at them, cause Newcastle problems, but Newcastle are on the form where they're clinical and they'll pick Spurs off.
3-1 Newcastle.
Aston Villa, Leicester.
2-0 Villa. Oh, you always want me to say why, don't you?
Just give me a little line.
Villa at home, I think, Leicester's form, Villa at home, good.
I'll go 2-1. Villa have dropped off a bit, but they've still got more quality than Leicester.
Bournemouth, Everton.
Ooh, I'm going to go Bournemouth 1, Everton 0. Everton will make it difficult for them, but Bournemouth have obviously got this different momentum.
Bournemouth, Everton. This is why you don't come to me, Jules. Bournemouth, Everton, 2-1.
OK, London Derby, Palace, Chelsea.
Ooh, Chelsea need a bit of a response. I think 1-1.
I'm going to 2-1 Palace.
Man City, West Ham.
1-0 City.
2-0 City.
OK, Southampton, Brentford.
Ooh, Brentford, 1-0.
On the road.
That's what I was thinking as well. And Southampton have a little bit. I'm going to go 0-0 actually.
OK, Brighton, Arsenal.
1-0 Arsenal.
2-0 Arsenal.
Fulham, Ipswich.
Ooh, Fulham at home. I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah, Fulham 3-1 actually.
We have a little bit of time for this one. Liverpool versus Man United. Kaz, you can start us off again.
Liverpool 3-0. Just about. You always look to me, I'm giving you more like.
Just say better is the perfect reason. What do you have, Miguel?
I'm going to go 5-0 Liverpool. Which and that is a sort of clip that could be on social media all next week, could be thrown in my face. United could do what they did to City, but it just feels when you weigh everything up, like it's not like the City game where Liverpool were on that form where tactically it's hard not to see Liverpool just steamroll through that team.
A quick score for Wolves versus Forest.
1-0.
1-1, I don't know. That's fine.